Now, when you get that sort of behaviour, let us remember where that sort of behaviour last happened. It happened in the 1930s in Central and Western Europe in a country called Germany. That kind of breaking up of meetings, silencing of opponents, for prevention of free speech, that is a hallmark of, and I am proud to use the word loud and clear, fascism. And that is what your ABC now represents. Let me tell you how they have treated me since I came here. First of all, you may have heard the interview with somebody who I believe is called Adam Spencer. He was not very polite, was he? He did at least have the courtesy to apologise the following afternoon, and I am grateful for that. However, then there were two people in Adelaide whose names I think were Dave and Fred, or Joe and Mick, or something like that. They all seem to be called that kind of thing on the ABC. And they too were vilely rude throughout the interview. And yesterday, for the second time, an appalling woman called Wendy Carlisle appeared, and she started asking deliberately offensive questions. Until in the end I said, "Madam, if you're going to be deliberately offensive, you can go and ask your questions to somebody else." And on top of that, a TV crew who first of all said they were from ABC, and then they said they were making a programme for ABC, turned up in my hotel room to interview me, and it became clear after a bit that the interview was a spoof, and I believe this is for some program called The Chaser. So that is just 4 incidents in less than a week in which the ABC has shown its credentials as supporters of totalitarianism, of socialism, and of fascism. Let us use that word again. These are people who show not the slightest interest in ever genuinely portraying the science that shows there is no problem with the climate. They show no interest whatsoever in portraying the economic arguments that even if there were a problem as big as they say it is, there is absolutely no point in spending money on carbon taxes to try and make it go away, because it won't make it go away. They are absolutely uninterested in giving people a fair go. So I do have a message for your Liberal and National coalition, and it is this: within 3 months of the next general election, defund the ABC.
Love the planet. Guard our freedom. Our next speaker. Come on up, Joe. As she's coming up, our next speaker is Joanne Nova. This lady understands the science. She is a scientist. She has science qualifications. More importantly, she is courageous and outspoken.
And surprise, she's not.
You'll notice that she's confident, smiling, and always just sails into people with the truth. She backs words with facts, acts the tax with facts. She is well liked and admired right around the country and overseas, one of the leading blogs around the world, and well loved. Joanne Nova.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are being deceived. It's not just about the economics. How much will we cool the world with an extra tax?
You won't.
Nothing. Exactly. And it's not just deception in politics.
Did
we vote for a carbon tax? No! But we are being deceived on the science. They take us for fools.
Yeah, do. Yeah.
They want us to be their useful idiots.
Yeah, that's right.
Are we fools?
No!
You don't need to have a PhD to know that things smell wrong.
That's right.
Good on you.
Penny Pong is wrong.
There There is only one thing that makes science different to religion, and that is in science. There are no gods, there are no experts who are above question.
That's right.
There are no bishops of science who have the last word and who we cannot ask for evidence from.
That's right. Good on.
And what evidence have they got?
None.
In science, nothing is more important than evidence, and climate models are not evidence.
That's right. God on you.
All the evidence is going our way.
Yes.
28 million weather balloons, 6,000 boreholes, 3,000 Argo buoys in the ocean, 30 years of satellite data, and 900 peer-reviewed papers to back up our case. And they say we have no evidence. And they call us the deniers.
Oh, they are traitors.
Instead of having evidence, they pretend that climate models are the same as getting measurements from the real planet. The witch doctors are amongst us, ladies and gentlemen.
There, ditch the witch.
Witchcraft.
Instead of incantations, they give us computer simulations.
That's right.
Those who tell us the science is settled and that there is a consensus are not scientists.
That's right.
It's the antithesis of science to say that it's settled. It's the antithesis of science to say, trust us, we're the experts.
Yeah, right.
Science is
We are not fools. Show us the evidence. What do we need, ladies and gentlemen? What do we want? Evidence.
evidence. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I used to be a Green. Believe it or not, it's the only political party I've ever been a member of, and I thought I was helping the planet. We all grow up sometime, don't we? I used to think carbon dioxide mattered. I still worry about falling fish stocks. I worry about our precious topsoil in Australia. We have so little of it and it's being washed away out to sea. But wind farms won't help the fish.
That's right.
Solar cells won't stop the topsoil from blowing away. Real environmental problems are being ignored and sidelined to look after fake ones. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought I was well informed, but I was shocked when I found out what was going on behind the scenes. Everything you have heard about carbon dioxide can be turned inside out. And you don't need to have a PhD to know that things don't add up. Ladies and gentlemen, the carbon in the sky is what the plants pull out of the sky to make plants. That's where they get their carbon from. Those plants take in the carbon, the animals eat the plants. Every bit of carbon in you comes from the air, it comes from CO2. Nothing in your kitchen except salt and water doesn't come from carbon dioxide in the air. We are carbon life forms and they call it pollution.
That's right. The backbone of our DNA is carbon.
And ladies and gentlemen, they tell us 97% of scientists, 97% of climate scientists tell us that it's settled. But they don't tell us that that's only 75 people.
That's right. That's right.
Where's the other half of the story in the media here? Done from a survey that started off on the internet for 2 minutes with 10,000 people and they whittled it down to 75 who agreed. What a surprise. Those famous ice core graphs that Al Gore used with the temperature and going up and down in lockstep with the carbon, did they tell you that temperature drives carbon dioxide levels up and that it does so 800 years in advance of the carbon dioxide?
That's right.
So 800 years after the planet warms, the oceans have released their CO2 and the CO2 levels rise. The graph is deceptive if someone pretends that it tells you that CO2 matters to the temperature on the planet.
That's the real science.
And they tell us, don't they? We know that we're the largest exporter of coal in the world. But did you know that China digs up 10 times as much coal as we do? They don't export it, they know it's too precious, they don't sell it, they use it themselves. 10 times as much in terms of megatons of coal dug up by China, and we're about to kill our coal industry. Is it going to make any difference?
No.
And all that carbon dioxide lately, and what happened to the hurricanes and the storms they promised, these witch doctors? We're at lowest levels in 30 years. And you have to wonder, 90% of the thermometers in the US were checked by volunteers. It's a $4 billion agency, the NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, $4 billion agency. It took a team of about 700 volunteers to take photographs of those thermometers, and the volunteers showed that 90%, 89% of those thermometers were too close to artificial heat sources. Why has it come down to that? It's not like they didn't have the money to check them themselves. And where was that? The front page headlines.
Nowhere.
Where were the ABC News stories letting you know that there was a team of whistleblowers working to do what a government agency ought to be checking for itself?
That's right.
And did you know all the models predict the hotspot, the missing hotspot? 28 million weather balloons have travelled up through our atmosphere looking for this hotspot that the models depend on. There is no catastrophe if there is no hotspot, and there's no hotspot.
That's right.
28 million radio sons, and they call us deniers. And ladies and gentlemen, did they forget to tell us that 31,500 scientists have signed a petition that effectively says Australia doesn't need a carbon tax? 31,500 scientists, and their names have been checked and verified, and it was done by volunteers. Again, the volunteers have stepped into the vacuum to come and help do what the government ought to be doing and what our news agencies ought to be doing.
How disgusting.
Those 31,000 scientists include 9,000 PhDs and 2 Nobel Prize winners. That's Nobel Prizes in physics, ladies and gentlemen, none of this Peace Prize stuff.
That's right.
What does it take to get a Peace Prize these days in a Nobel? 11 days in office.
That's right.
And it includes 4 NASA astronauts. These are men with reputations. These are men at the top of their fields. We have the smarts on our side, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, exactly.
And that for every dollar paid to a skeptic from Exxon, $3,500 was paid by the US government in the name of climate research to people who were paid to find a crisis. And what did we get? We got what we paid for. They found a crisis.
Backside Obama. Backside Obama.
They got the hockey stick and forgot the
Now we can act now or we can pay for years to come. Each time we let them get away with an untruth, they grow stronger. Each time we ignore the Orwellian perversion of our language and the name-calling denier,
That's right.
we feed the parasites who want our freedom and our money, and it hurts us and our children, and it hurts the environment. This is not science, ladies and gentlemen. They call themselves modern scientists, but they break laws of reason known to ancient Greeks. They tell us there will be endless floods. Sorry, they told us there would be endless droughts, didn't they?
Where are they?
And then when the floods came and people drowned, they said, see, we told you the rain was coming.
Where are they?
Science belongs to us, ladies and gentlemen. They're using it to crony up the country.